I'm Nolte with the University of Arizona. Agrochemicals are a big part of agriculture. These materials can include pesticides, fungicides, fertilizers, and growth regulators. It's important to remember the proper procedures to follow when handling these products because they, if not handled correctly, can pose a risk to the crop that you're trying to grow. It's important that the storage and maintenance of agrochemicals and its related equipment is properly followed. It's advised that all agrochemicals used by employees be labeled appropriately. Failure to monitor and properly label tanks may lead to contamination of a product, resulting in foodborne illness or injury. Taking preventative and corrective measures is very important when storing agrochemicals. Here are some recommendations. Your storage facility should be soundly constructed, well ventilated, and in a flood-free area. It should be located so that spills will not flow into a stream or a waterway. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions for proper storage. Keep chemicals in their original containers and don't pour into smaller bottles. And remember, don't remove labels from these containers. Store chemicals and personal protective equipment, or PPE, in different locations. In fact, store the filters from masks separately when not in use. For example, store these filters in a Ziploc bag or an ice cream container. Don't store liquid chemicals above solids and separate different classes of chemicals to prevent reactions. Store animal feed, seeds, and fertilizers separately from other chemicals. Keep ignition sources well away from chemicals and agrochemicals that are classed according to their hazards, that is, whether they're flammable or poisonous to people. The nature of these hazards and the total amount of product that you have will influence the way your agrochemicals are stored. You'll also need to know the hazard properties of these products. Product labels and material safety data sheets will provide you with this information. Some agrochemicals can be highly poisonous to people. You must keep these secured under lock and key when they're left unattended so that children and unauthorized people cannot get to them. Some agrochemicals are not compatible, and they should be kept apart. This will minimize the risk of fire. A common example of incompatible products are flammable and oxidizing substances. Having mop-up materials on hand, such as sand, soil, or kitty litter, will be very handy in the event of a spill. Moreover, if you're using agrochemicals, you need to store them in a way such that any spill can be contained and easily cleaned up. No matter what quantities of agrochemicals you're storing, it's a good practice to be able to manage any spill or leak effectively. However, if a spill occurs, you will need to clean it up immediately and safely dispose of any waste, including the materials used in the cleanup. Workers should be trained to deal with spills, and having a spill kit handy is very important. Never wash away spills in the environment or drains. Your agrochemical storage area will require signage. Signs need to be clearly visible and should be located at every entrance to the building. Signs should state what hazards are and what to do in the event of emergency. Fire extinguishers may be required when you store flammable agrochemicals. Whether you need one or more depends on the flammability of your individual products and the total quantity of all the flammable products that you have in storage. If you're likely to have several different products with varying levels of flammability, adopt a cautious approach and always have at least one fire extinguisher available. Maintaining a safe and effective agrochemical application and storage environment is essential when dealing with crops either in or out of the field. If these recommendations are followed, the risk of contamination will be greatly reduced. Fresh produce safety is of utmost importance to growers and the community at large. Let's work together and be diligent in keeping our produce as safe as possible by following these guidelines.